Hey guys, welcome back to Pistons Talk Podcast. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday evening. I'm joined by a dual beat reporter from MLive.com, friend of the show, Kory Woods. Kory, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am great. A little bit hot, but we got to deal with this 90-degree weather for seems like a
Yeah.
couple more days, but overall pretty good. Just enjoying the summer.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculously hot today. I went outside and I started just instant sweat. I mean, it also doesn't help that I'm wearing all black today either, but yeah, it was just a instant sweat. I'm looking at my thermostat right now. It's on the smart system. I might need to turn that off and just go ahead and just put this bad boy down to like the 60s because it's crazy heat outside. So yeah, kind
Yeah, I
of
think my
I'm even contemplating leaving to go watch the game somewhere after we get done because it's just that hot. Just rather just sit and chill down.
I think my house is 83 right now. Straight up.
Woo! 83. Good lord.
I mean, being Lebanese, I'm used to the heat, but man, it's
That's
a little
real.
hot for me.
Well, I'm
Oh
definitely gonna
man.
have this water right here, so you know.
Yeah, same here. Got to drink water. Got to stay hydrated. I do have a couple of show topics, but I mean, there's been a lot of news. Kevin Durant traded. I mean, like, what do you kind of think of the trade package that Houston gave up with Phoenix?
I'm still kind of digesting that one to be quite honest, but I think when you look at the overall trade package and everybody's saying, "Oh, Houston got over," "Oh, Phoenix got over," I believe that it's just the trade worked out for both teams, in my opinion. Well, obviously, when you're Houston, just how well you did this season, you're giving up young pieces such as Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, who's a solid defender. It's like okay, you lose a little bit right there, but Jalen Green has been very inconsistent. And for you to be able to get a guy like a Kevin Durant to go ahead and pair with that nucleus they still have together, I think that has got to get them over the top. I know a lot of people like, oh, Kevin Durant doesn't move the needle. Well, look what he did in Phoenix. Well, in my opinion, Phoenix was horribly built. Just to be able to sustain anything long term, man. He's been pretty healthy. I think he played 75 games last year,
Yep.
60 something this year, 62. I mean, wish would probably would have played a little bit, probably would have played a little bit more had they been better or trying to go for something serious. But I think it's a trade that works for both teams. What I will say this is that I'm curious on what's going to happen with Phoenix because, okay, I like the idea of acquiring Jalen Green, but what are you going to do with Bradley Beal? I mean, I believe he has a no trade clause, and the thing about that is people saying, "Well, you got to move him. You can just move him." Well, Bradley Beal is due 53 million next season, and then the season after that, he has a player option for 57 million. And any team he's on, don't matter who it is, I bet you he's opting in for that 57 million. So just to kind of get with the math, any team if he waives his no trade clause and a team wants to acquire him, you're committing $110 million to Bradley Beal over the next 2 years. I think that Phoenix is stuck with him. So they're either going to have to do one or two things. They're either going to have to move Jalen Green or they're going to have to buy out Bradley Beal. It's just that simple to me.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix as like this. We look at the roster, like getting Dylan Brooks, which I thought was a pretty good move. You know, he's a good player. Kind of fell in that 3-and-D role. Jalen
Yeah.
Green, not really too surprised about. I know a lot of Pistons fans are taking victory laps today over the Jalen Green discourse, which hey, love to see it. But yeah, like having like Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Jalen Green, you're gonna like put Book at point, Jalen Green, like
Mhm.
shooting guard, and then Bradley Beal off the bench. It's a very expensive team that personally I don't really think is a top, you know, a top team in the West that I would feel confident of even like making a playoff spot. I think that's a playing team at the
Yeah.
most. I think with Bradley Beal, you're right. They do need to try to explore options, whether that's attaching a first, whether it's possibly buying him out of his contract and kind of stretching it. Um, they could do that. Or you just kind of call Charlotte and see how desperate they are, and maybe Matt Ishbia gets a Spartan dog of Miles Bridges in Phoenix.
They're gonna have to do something, man. I mean,
Yeah.
because again, anybody that takes that contract, again, you just made a good point. If I were a GM taking that contract, I would need multiple first to take that on, because again, it's not even just, again, it's not the 53 million that he's going to get next season. It's that 57 he's going to opt into. So and again, also too, Beal has to waive his no trade clause to go there. So it's a lot of, to me, it's so many factors that are working against Phoenix that I think that the most likely scenario is a very expensive buyout.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to be cheap. I never understood the Bradley Beal trade. I thought they were good with
Never
just.
did.
I thought they were fine with Devin Booker and KD, and you could just kind of fill out your bench. But like they have a lot of free agents, like Bull, Monte Morris, Tyus Jones, and they're a second apron team on top of it. So it's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, everybody was falling in love with this big three model, and I mean, yeah, it worked when it worked, but it's not the end all be all for putting together a championship team. Something we're obviously seeing with this in this year's NBA Finals, even though a lot of factors happen, but even over the past couple of years, we've seen this kind of big three model is dying. So, I mean, I understood getting KD to pair with Booker, but getting Beal is just like, I don't know about that. Just maybe ride that 1-2 a little bit longer and get that supporting cast to be a little bit better. But and then also too, you can't keep changing head coaches like you change draws.
I can't even keep up with their head coaches anymore, man. I really
It's
can't.
like it's like, man, it's like, okay, I thought Detroit changed head coaches a lot. I mean, whoa, Phoenix is running through them real quick in this Ishbia era.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy. I mean, I just saw today Sean Sweeney is going to San Antonio to be an assistant there. So I mean,
Wow.
there's there's a lot of coaching maneuvers. I know Knicks fans are praying that Jason Kidd doesn't get extended. I mean, NBA this time of year is just wild, man. It's like Christmas every day. It feels like.
Yeah.
I did want to kind of still focus on trades. There was a trade this week, and I saw you had pretty strong opinions about it. It was the Desmond Bane trade. So I wanted to ask you, how does this Desmond Bane trade affect the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference, you think?
I think it affects them to the fact that the Pistons do have to make a move. What that move looks like, I don't necessarily know, because I believe, leading into the draft and then shortly after it, I think we're going to see a lot of player movement, especially with teams with the tax apron, and then just trying to unload a lot of their big payrolls. I think that with the Magic were already good as is, coming to the season. They were just a good, a young team. Now you're adding Bane along with Franz and Paolo. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and say, hey, it makes them a favorite to come out the East. But, with Jason Tatum missing next season, because he's going to miss all of next season, everybody. So with Jason Tatum being out next season, the East is really wide open. And you're getting a guy like that who is not even in his prime yet, just still coming into his own to pair with those other two guys. It's gonna make Orlando a very tough out, more than they already were. So how this goes into the Pistons is that we know the Pistons are not bringing back this team as constructed next year. People, I don't know if you guys know this. This same team y'all just saw going to playoffs, that same team is not coming back this season. So the Pistons are going to have to do something on the trade market to get better. And we'll just see what that's like over the next couple of days and weeks. But I don't think they can stand pat and try to run it back with the same roster. They're going to have to get better, because a lot of other teams are going to try to get better as well.
Yeah, I think when Tatum got injured, I think a lot of GMs in the Eastern Conference were like, okay, Boston is going to be not the same team as they were constructed. Cleveland, I mean, there's reports that they were trying to shop Darius Garland, and then he's having surgery. I mean, Cleveland is a team that is an apron team. I think Indiana will still be Indiana. Knicks will probably still be the Knicks. what happens in Milwaukee, like all the Giannis talk, like Bobby Portis has a player option, Brooke Lopez is a free agent. Um, I think this trade, some people overreact to the 4 first, in my personal opinion, because Desmond Bane is a good basketball player. I just think they thought signing KCP, they were getting the Denver Nuggets NBA champion KCP. The game attached with it. I think they realized KCP is a very inconsistent player, but when he's on, he's on, and when he's not, he's not. It's really eye-opening. And I think Desmond Bane kind of going into that KCP role as a third option. Orlando's going to be a really good team. I think they'll be a top 5, top 4 team in the East if they can stay healthy. They just weren't healthy last year. Everyone had injuries. From Paulo was injured a little bit, Franz, Jalen Suggs a lot with his tailbone and his back. Like, it's a really good basketball team.
And, just to kind of add on to that, just with the way that the Magic are going to be coming into this season, adding a guy like that and like with the East being wide open, you never really know. I was one of those people that was like, man, they gave up 4 firsts for him. But here's the thing. If they believe that he is the missing piece, then hey, skip the, what Les Snead say, F them picks. That's all that matters. I could very well be on this podcast next year and be like, you know what? I was wrong. I mean, look what that did. It got them to the Eastern Conference Finals or so. Something who knows, but chances make champions. I think it's a gamble, but you're gambling on a really, really good young talent. So that's just what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be an expensive team to keep together. I don't think they'll all be on the same team 3 years from now. I just don't.
Yeah.
When you kind of look at like the contracts, like Paulo is extension eligible. He's going to get a bag. Franz is on a deal. That whole core that we were talking about earlier, they're all on big deals. I mean, Desmond Bane signed a big deal in Memphis, so time will tell. Like how good
isn't
that team
Wasn't Bane on like a $200 million deal or something like that?
Close to it, I believe. Yeah, it's an expensive team, but I think where Orlando is last season they were where the Pistons were at.
Yeah,
in terms of like being that team that no one thought that was going to be a top seeded team in the East. And this year they had more expectations and they had injuries. So I would just kind of tell Pistons fans, like, Orlando is actually like a year above the Pistons in terms of this like team building.
Absolutely.
But I do agree with you. The Pistons can't sit on their hands and just say, hey, we're going to run it back and keep developing our young core. You have to make upgrades on this roster, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, the one thing that where kind of me and Pistons fans kind of get each other kind of misunderstood is just like, I understand, when you see your team develop the way that the Pistons developed this season really quickly, it's like, oh, I don't want to trade these guys. I want to trade these guys. I want to see it through because, there are instances that happen when you break up a young nucleus too quick. Some of those players go elsewhere and they thrive. We've definitely seen that here in Detroit. I was one of those people who said, hey, I think they're getting rid of Chris Middleton a little bit too prematurely. I said the same thing with Dinwiddie, more so on Middleton than Dinwiddie, but I just said with 2 of those guys, I'm like, hold on to them for just a quick second. And we saw what they became. Middleton became a key piece to an NBA championship team. Dinwiddie's moved around the league, but he's proven to be a quality backup point guard and a quality starter if need be. So the thing about it is, there are times where you have to cash in on windows.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe this is a window. I'm not saying unload all of your young pieces, but sometimes to get the piece, you have to give something. Like, you can't give up all of for Detroit people, you will get this reference because I said it before on one of my statuses. You can't want a pair of White Sticks, Cartier Buffalo Horn White Sticks, for those who don't know. You can't want a pair of White Sticks, but you want to trade a bunch of Ray-Bans for them. It just doesn't work like that. So if you want the White Sticks, hey, you might have to give up something that you consider a couple of Versace's and maybe some Louis or whatever. You never know, but I think that if they do get one of those all-star superstar pieces in this trade market this offseason, I don't think it kind of happens. I think the deal that who they might get might be a little bit lower than that, but still good. If they get there and play from somebody like a Giannis or somebody that's all-star talent, be prepared for one of those young pieces to be gone.
I love that you made a Buff reference in terms of assets, and people liked it. Shit God says facts. Chris says dog. Kory. I think that's the first time we've ever had a Buffs reference on the podcast. Like that is freaking hilarious.
I have to say it in the way that people understand it. It's like, for it's like it's Detroit lingo. It's just like, come on, I know we want the player that's the white sticks. Giannis is white sticks, but you can't give away a whole bunch of Ray-Bans to get white sticks. It just doesn't work. You try to I got some right now. Heck, even wires. I got wires on right now. You come up with me with some Ray-Bans or some Oakleys and trying to get my yays. I'm looking at you like, huh?
Right.
What, you get the bleep out my face.
Honestly, man, I love that you made that reference though, because that's honestly hilarious. Like, for as many reporters that I've had on, you're the only one that made that reference, and it made me honestly, man, that's gonna be an all-time. Awesome.
And for easy, I seen what he said. It just popped up on my screen. Kory's wearing a wire. No, I'm wearing wires. That lets you know he's not tapped in.
Never know with Easy if he's actually being like just strolling or just having a good time. What up, Easy? Hope you're doing well, my brother. I did want to get into kind of, I don't know if you've been staying up to date with like the reports with free agency and like the type of players that the Pistons are quote unquote linked to. So
I've seen a couple of those, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to spin this question. Like, what do you make of the reports that the Pistons are looking to add a stretch five this summer in free agency?
I think it's definitely needed. I mean, when you look at some of the names out there, the one that really sticks out to me the most is if you can get a Naz Reid in Detroit, that definitely makes this team a lot better. We've seen what he's done out there in Memphis, and I believe that if he comes to Detroit, he's going to be with some better playmakers, especially with Cade Cunningham, and if Jaden Ivey comes back, at full strength, which we're expecting. He's a capable playmaker himself. And even the guy that we sometimes underrate as a playmaker who's getting better is Duren. Duren is nice with it now. So you get a Naz Reid in here, I think he makes them significantly better. I know there's been talks about Miles Turner, if I'm not mistaken, as a possibility. Hey, he might get his ring. Hey, he might get his ring tonight and be like, you know what? I'm about to cross enemy lines and go get a bag and go help out in Detroit and have a significant role over there. I've gone ahead and dedicated my time here to Indiana. I helped bring a ring. Now it's time to go do something different. Or he may feel like that also too if they lose as well. So you never know. But those are two guys that I would definitely be looked at. I mean, Turner has been a name that has been long linked with the Pistons, I believe, for like the past couple of seasons, just maybe as a possibility on the trade market. The Reid thing will be interesting because I don't see Reid leaving Detroit leaving Minnesota unless he's going somewhere knowing he's about to get a starter role and starter money. So, able to get him, that would be a very big coup.
Yeah, I mean, with the Naz Reid thing, I think you're right. Like, he's not going to opt out of his player option and then be a backup. Like, I think if he were to leave Minnesota, he's opting out. He's trying to get as most money as he can. I don't know if you saw that leak IG message with him and some better saying, I'm about to get $100 million. So that just kind of tells me what he thinks his market is. And I don't think he's far off. I think he could get $100 million. And he's probably going to be your starting power forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, doesn't he just do a double check on what he's making right now? Because I like to be factually
15 million about.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, he's has a player option for 15 million. So yeah, I mean, I'm getting the bag if I'm opting out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. I saw someone say like, well, what if he opts out and signs for less if he like really buys into the coaching staff? Like, absolutely not. Not the way the way the players are paid nowadays. Like, no disrespect to Isaiah Stewart, but if Isaiah Stewart's getting 15 million, and he was on a player option, he damn well would opt out and probably sign for more. Like,
I mean,
he,
that's what I was telling. That's what I was telling people with the Isaiah Stewart deal. I said, hey, when this NBA money kicks up, Isaiah Stewart's deal is going to look very reasonable. I mean, right now, I believe what is that around mid-level exception numbers, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, mid level is 14.1 right now, so
Yeah.
just
So I
about,
mean,
yeah.
Isaiah's deal is nothing.
No, it's a good deal. I see some people talking about like Miles Turner. I think his market, Kory, is 30 million per year, whether he
Mhm.
wins a championship or not. And I think if the Pistons want to get to that point, they're going to have to move some pieces and some players to kind of make the money work. Because as of right now, they have around $17 million in cap space they could operate
Yeah.
with. So you're either talking about trading Stu, you're talking about trading Tobias to try to make the money work to be competitive with an offer. I personally think he stays in Indy. I think that's why
Yeah.
Indy made that trade last week, is so they can stay competitive in trades and being able to offer him the money, because I think they'll be a first apron team just to bring him back because he's been there for so long. And I've always been really high on him. I'm just not really sure what it would take for him to just like kind of jump ship. And I don't know if the Pistons would be number one on this list given the Pistons Pacers stuff this year. I mean,
That's what I
Stu
was saying.
roasted him.
Crossing enemy lines.
I mean, Isaiah Stewart's telling him he plays with Legos right to his face. I mean, it's just it's the whole
Yeah,
thing,
you would
man.
have to. It would have to be some. It would have to be some reconstruction. I mean, even then, if they got Nas Reed, maybe him and Ron Holland got to have a conversation. It's going to be some interesting things. But I will say this though: if they get any of these stretch five that we're talking about on the free agent market, even if they get those guys can fit them in, I still think that signals that you're moving on from Tobias Harris. You're sending him somewhere to a team that's going to want that expiring deal. So I that's the one thing that I'll just been telling a lot of people. If they're making any type of moves this offseason, I don't expect him to be back. I believe that they pretty much just brought him in to help this young group for this season. I thought it was going to be to the trade deadline, but help this young group right now, and then move them later, because again, there's going to be a lot of teams trying to break down their payrolls and be able to get back into to the free agent market, and that expiring deal is a attractive piece.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's fair to assume that Tobias is on the last year of his contract going into this upcoming season. I think it's very enticing because I honestly think this playoffs, I think he got a little bit of the um, there were talks about him being a playoff choker in Philly, and I
Mhm.
thought this playoffs he kind of just said like, I'm not a playoff joker. I can produce when I actually want to play for a city that values me, and I think we saw that without kind of dunking
Yeah,
on Philly. But yeah, the Miles Turner and Nas Reed, I love it. The Santi Aldama one, this is where I think it's interesting. He's an RFA right now in Memphis. Now, the Pistons could possibly make it difficult for Memphis and offer him a bigger deal. And you could have conversations about, offering him a deal. And, if Memphis really doesn't want to lose him, you could do a sign and trade that way. I mean, they just traded Desmond Bain. There are reports that they want to build around John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. long term. So, I mean, he's another kind of stretch five. I mean, Memphis was weird, man. They were playing him at small forward, Kory, and this guy is usually playing like small forward, power forward, center. I don't know if that's a Memphis thing. I don't know if JB would do that with him if he was on the team, but I mean, he's another kind of a buy low option if the Pistons want to try to get one of those, stretch players in the front court.
I mean, they definitely need some more help on that end, and um, I think also too, again, how would Tobias work in that deal? Would they had to move him? Would they have to move somebody else? So
Yeah.
definitely got to look at the numbers. But I think that right now with the way I don't really see the Pistons acquiring too many pieces on the trade market where they gotta figure out how the fit is going to work. I think they're trying to if just off of how they finished this year, I think they're looking for somewhere around that all-star kind of home run punch because I mean
Yeah.
that's just the vibe I get. I think they're going to try to go after it. Not saying that they couldn't acquire him and he would be a good addition, but I think they're really going for that marquee. We know what we're going to get out this guy every single night player to play alongside Cade.
Yeah, I mean, like all these guys could pick and pop. I mean, I'll throw one more name in here that I didn't put in the lower third graphic. I mean, I'd keep an eye on Bobby Portis as well.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
he he fits Detroit's culture. Bickerstaff's demeanor and style so much. Bobby Portis and Nas Reed would be my top two out there on the market for them to grab in the free agency. I just think Bobby Portis would just fit Detroit. So like fit, this be like a match made in heaven. He would fit like a glove, and he adds to that toughness too as well. So he may. If in any event that you're trying to get somebody big and you got to go ahead and move an Isaiah Stewart, okay, if you're able to get in a Bobby Portis, that works as well.
yeah. I mean, who knows if he's going to opt in or opt out of his
Yeah.
player option, especially with Dame being out for the rest of next season. The Giannis stuff that we'll get into in a little bit. But I mean, I think it's really telling that back-to-back summers, this front office has said, "Hey, we want to upgrade the center position." And I don't know how some people feel about that. Some people feel that Tobias could be the odd man out. Some people feel maybe they're not that high on Jalen Duren. I don't really know what to make of it, honestly.
The Jalen Duren thing, I want to be careful about how I say this because I believe that Jalen Duren is going to whether he stays with Detroit or whether he gets moved on somewhere. I think Jalen Duren is going to be a really good center in the NBA. How good that remains to be seen, but I believe he's going to be a really good center and he's going to have a nice career. That said, um, there's some questions about him defensively, especially as a rim protector. We know he can rebound like all hell, but as a rim protector, low post defender, there could be some improvement. And the thing about it in his case is, in fairness to him, his first 3 years in the league, he's had 3 different head coaches. So
Yeah.
it's like he hasn't really had, and he came into the league as a really young player, so he hasn't really benefited from continuity and consistent work with the same big man coaches. So I think that's where it's kind of like you want to be patient and before you give him up prematurely because we've seen Duran come along in spots this season that he really did in other years. That said, if there's a piece out there where you're able to go ahead and improve significantly at that 5 spot, that is something that you do have to consider. I think right now when you have a Cade Cunningham who is coming into his own as a superstar, and I mean he just signed a deal, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But again, this is a team that can cash on a window, and you have to go ahead and consider all options to improve. And that's not just getting another scorer besides Cade, but also getting another threat for them on defense. And if they believe if they believe that Duran is going to put in the work, with Sidney Lowe this offseason and grow into that guy, then hey, you hang on to him and you look at other things. But if there is just somebody that instantly right now makes you better, it's something that you do have to consider.
I, I'm with you. I'm still fairly high on him as a player, only being 21 years old. I know me and you have talked ad nauseum about the 3 coaches in 3 years that can really
Yeah,
mess with your mental as a player. Getting just coaches in your ear. I mean, he even admitted that he still talks to Monty Williams because he just
yeah,
liked him so much as a person. Which that's fine. I mean, you build relationships.
yeah,
I'm sure in the NBA, like crazy, you build relationships every day. You're on the court, like from team members to coaches to a lot of people in the organization. But it'll be interesting to kind of see like what this summer does entail, because I feel like a lot of times when we get these reports, Kory, it's usually smoke. It's usually smoke most of the time. I think there's a difference between actually getting these players and having interest. Like, I have interest in Taylor Rooks. Doesn't mean I can get
Yes.
it.
Hey, and that's funny because it's like I see it on Twitter. The Lakers have interest in so and so. Yeah, I bet they do. You can have interest in a lot of players, but interest in being able to actually acquire them are two different things. Like, look at how many reports we saw of people that were reportedly interested for Kevin Durant. Not really realistically, any of them teams had what it took. Look where he's at right now. So I think when for me, what raises my eyebrows is when we see reports of X, Y, and Z, X and team, whatever, had conversations regarding a player. Then it's like, oh, okay, y'all are talking about the frameworks of a potential deal. That's when my antennas are up. When it says interest, it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, they're interested in the good player. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like you can have interest, you could have interest in LeBron James. Doesn't mean you can get him. Like,
yeah,
two completely different conversations. And I think sometimes we fall victim to the reporting, and it kind of depends like how it's worded. I think you have to kind of pay attention to. But I mean, when you don't have basketball for so long, your eyes see what they want to see, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, and also too, it just kind of gets you this hype up because this is a team we just saw come off a playoff run. They're first in since what since Dwayne Casey's first year as head coach when they went 41-41, their first top 6 seed since 2008. So it's like, okay, you see the Pistons have interest in somebody, you're getting all hype, but it's like, hey, when you start seeing the advanced talks or having conversations, that's when your antenna should really rise.
It really is. So I made this graphic this week, and I saw that you shared it. Appreciate that as always. So I was reading on ESPN, and there was a trade proposal for Giannis. So I'll read it on the screen for people that didn't see it. And I talked about it earlier this week on this YouTube channel, but ESPN proposed a trade that Giannis would go in Detroit in exchange for Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Isaiah Stewart, in 3 firsts in 27, 29, 31. So the question I want to ask you, because I keep seeing this with Pistons fans, and I fall victim to it too. Kory, this is a highway robbery trade for Giannis, in my opinion. I think it's kind of underselling his value. I think I texted that to you, but like when you see mock trades like this for the Pistons, do you think these are the type of framework deals that it would take to, get that quote unquote next star?
If I'm the Milwaukee GM, okay, I'm gonna give you 2 scenarios real quick before because I know we're gonna get into a conversation about it. If I'm the Milwaukee GM and Trajan Langdon called me with this proposal, I would end the call and block Trajan Langdon's number. If Milwaukee called me, Trajan Langdon, with this proposal, I would have faxed that in to the NBA before I could hang up the phone. Done deal.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I know people are going to be like, oh my God, we're giving up this, we're giving up this. Again, what did I say? You got to give up something to get something. First off, I'm going to start from the bottom. The 3 first-round picks, whatever, they're a wash. I don't care about them. I actually think you could give up 4 or 5. Really. I mean, if Mikal Bridges can go for 5 first-round picks, Giannis can go for a boatload more than that.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. Giving up them picks. Isaiah Stewart, I believe he's the heart and soul of the team. Incredible defender. I believe that the Pistons have him in a spot where he thrives the best at. That would be something hurtful to lose. Jaden Ivey, we know that he has potential. I believe that Jaden Ivey has 20 point per game in this league potential.
Yeah, same here.
I see him getting his with the way that medicine is right now. I see him getting all of his speed back. So back to being a blur on the court. He's improved his 3-point shooting. He's improved in shooting overall. Another ball handler. That would be, like, oh man, you're losing a backcourt mate for Cade Cunningham. So that would be something to, okay. You don't want to see them break it up before what they could see what they could really become. But at the same time, how are you really missing Owen Ivy? You're not, and this is no disrespect to him. It's just that his first 3 years in the league have not been the best, and it's not his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, year one, we saw his potential. Second team rookie. So we knew, like, okay, this guy has something to him. Year two, a cluster, and not to any fault of his own. Year three, we start to see that, that maturation of him possibly coming into his own. Boom, got hit with an injury. That sucks. But, if you're able to, but again, and then you look at Tobias Harris, it's an expiring deal. You're going to be moving him anyway. If you're able to take this deal and get a guy that's only going to be 30 years old when the season starts, I think 30 or 31, multiple-time MVP, literally put a team on his back and led them to an NBA title. You get Cade Cunningham and Giannis. Detroit is not just a good team. They are the Eastern Conference favorite for probably the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Easily. You can, and I'm not saying you can fill them with scraps, but if you're able to get Giannis and Cade, that also makes now Detroit a destination. Guys are going to want to come play there. Oh, they got Giannis and Cade. That takes them to a favorite in the East. So again, I don't think they get Giannis. But if this were the trade where you could get him, pull that bleeping trigger and make it happen. Yeah, I mean, you're crazy.
Yeah, this feels like one of those ESPN
2K trades.
Yeah, they went on 2K and just spun it through, and it went through. Because when I was reading the article, there were some pretty hefty asking prices and proposals that they came up with over at ESPN, and this was the one where I'm looking at it, Kory, and I'm like, that's it? Like, that's all?
Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, we know we're not trading Cade. I'm giving up Tobias. Okay. Jaden, that's going to hurt. Isaiah, that's going to hurt. Wait a minute. Still got Duran. Still got Twin. Still got Ron Holland.
Still got Marcus Sasser.
Huh?
Huh? Yeah, that's huh? I honestly thought, when I was reading this, they just undersold his value. I mean, unless he just pulls a Nico Harrison type thing and said, I'm just trading him because I want to, go for it. And then the league said, we'll give you the first pick if you trade your star. Go for it. That's I'm looking at this, and I've looked at it several times this week. I'm like, there's no way in hell John Horst and the Milwaukee Bucks, even though John Horst used to work in the Pistons front office. No way.
It's no way. It's no way. You're giving up at least, I would say, for this trade right here, at bare minimum, you would also have to add probably Ron Holland in this deal for it to work. And probably even somebody else, or probably even another pick too. I just like you said, 30 is not old. You get Giannis in here and Cade, this opens this team's window, because now you're taking the pressure off. Both of those guys are going to take the pressure off of each other. They're going to make each other's life easier. And especially with Cade, I mean, just thinking of him and Giannis running the court together would be nuts. Is that a trade? Do I think the Pistons need to try to trade for Giannis? I'm not saying that, but I mean, if he's available.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing is one, I don't think Milwaukee would trade him in the East, and
absolutely not.
the other thing I brought up is why the hell would you trade him in their own division? Like you think the Bucks want to see Giannis drop like 40-point triple doubles on them 4 times a year?
And that's the other thing. Is like if you trade Giannis to the Pit, like I said, if you trade Giannis to the Pistons, that makes them the East favorite. That makes them the East favorite next year off rip, just off the way everything is going. I don't care who does what. You get Giannis and Kane. That's the favorite for the East. Then you're talking about years after that, they're still probably a favorite or a contender.
Yeah, man. I saw it. I thought it was fun to talk about it. I know you had talked about it on your Facebook page. I talked about it on my Facebook page as well. But I was just like, man, like if that's the offer you have to give up, you make that 10 out of 10 times and you run to the bank laughing. Because I mean, shit, Kory, we go to Greektown, I'll buy you Opa right now. Like, you know?
I'm just saying. And again, I want to be real. It's like it's no disrespect to Tobias. We know it just Tobias is just business, expiring contract. We know he's probably going to go somewhere. Jaden, that would be the one to be like, oh man, we gave up Jaden Ivey. That sucks because I believe he's going to go on to become a great player in this league. Isaiah Stewart, we gave up one of our best defenders, the locker room guy, the heartbeat of this team. What did you get? You got Giannis, who catapults you probably to the Eastern Conference Finals next season.
Oh, easily. I mean, yeah, NBA champion, MVP. Like I think sometimes, and I'm sure you've gotten into back and forth with fans, like they want the superstar players, but they don't want to give up good players to get the superstar players.
Nope. And on top of this, here's the other thing too, and this is just being real. Even though Cade played the most he's played this past season, from through all of his injuries and whatnot, you still want to see where Cade is going to be at injury-wise consistently over the next couple of years. What I mean by that is, if Cade has any setbacks, you would still have a guy that could put the team, the franchise on his back and lead them to where they need to go.
Right. Yeah, man. I think sometimes, talking to fans, they get a little bit unrealistic, and I get it. I mean, that's the team they cheer for. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Piston fan. I'll tell you firsthand, like, I was so heartbroken when they traded Saddiq Bey. Like, I never understood it. Still to this day, I'm pissed off by the trade. Like, I didn't understand the process of, getting James Wiseman for 5 seconds. Like, I just never understood it. It's like
I will say this. I understood the logic of trading Saddiq Bey. I didn't understand it as far as the returns.
Yeah.
Returns didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, me either. No, we were talking about Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey quite a bit on this podcast, and they're extension eligible this summer. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think the risk would be not extending either of them this summer?
That's a really good question. I think with the risk of, I think the risk you run into is that, guys may kind of feel some kind of way about not getting their extension. That this might really just be it. I mean, in Ivey's case, I would understand it. I mean, he's coming off of the break. So it's like, okay, do you want to go ahead and give him what, 23, 25 mil, something like that? Could be wrong. Could be a little bit low on the numbers with the way the salary cap is going up. But do you really want to give him that much money and you not know how he comes back off of that leg break? I mean, heck, I think we've seen that with the Lions. I mean, we believe Aiden Hutchinson is going to get his deal, but he didn't get extended yet. And why? Leg break. With Duren, it's going to be more so like, I think Duren is the one that could really be the one where he could be like disgruntled by it. Like, hey, I'm doing all I can. I have not really been put in the best position to succeed. I'm doing what's asked of me, but I haven't really had that continuity. I'm still young, work with me. But again, do you believe that there is still much more to grow from Duren's ceiling, where he can become even better, or do you feel like he's capped out on it and it's like, okay, we're gonna just wait and roll the dice before we decide to give you that back? So I think the risk they run is probably a disgruntled Duran, if I were just guessing, not saying I know anything, I was saying if I'm just guessing, maybe Duran might feel some kind of way about it. Whereas Ivy, I could see Ivy more so using it as a chip on his shoulder.
So that was one way to look at it, and I thought that was the avenue you would go down. So when I was thinking of this question, I thought of it more of a production standpoint. So let's just use an example. Let's say Jaden Ivey next season averages like 22 points a game.
Yeah.
And the Pistons don't extend him this summer. Those are his stats going into next season. What if a team like Utah or Brooklyn says, shit, we'll give Jaden Ivey 40 million right now? That's the way I've looked at it.
Yeah.
Because Pistons would have the opportunity to match. Well, let's say they don't want to match 40 million because they couldn't afford it. My thinking is they might regret not extending either one of these guys if they go into next season and they develop the way that developed this season, and they're on a trajectory where you're like, wow, these players have really figured it out. JB has really developed them. You know, they're just playing really good ball. Like, if you just let both of these guys go to a restricted free agency and they don't have a deal and they're not locked up, I mean, you could have other teams kind of sniffing around, kind of how we talked about Santi Aldama. Like, he's a restricted free agent. Teams can, throw him the bag, and Memphis has the opportunity
make life real tough on you.
Yeah, like I think I would offer something to both of these guys, and if they take it, cool. If they don't, we can kind of revisit those conversations next season. But I think if you don't even give them an offer or even have the conversation of extension, I think it could have negative impacts. The way you kind of outlined it in terms of like, wow, they're not going to extend me. I think that's one way to look at it. The way I looked at it was just like from a production standpoint, if they really get better and develop of like this good NBA players, then you're going to have other teams.
You might price yourself out.
Yeah, like who's to say Utah doesn't want a Jaden Ivey? I mean, they don't really have a lead. Like, they have Keontae George and Colin Sexton, but they don't really have like a lead guy. Like, Utah's going to have a lot of cap space going into next year. Like, they could definitely throw Jaden Ivey the bag if they wanted to.
Out of the two, though, that if I had to like pick, like, hey, we're gonna give one of these guys an extension, I believe that Duran would have to be the one that I would really lean toward right now. Here's why. It's just off of, you don't really know how Ivey's going to look off the break. You just don't. So do you want to commit to him with an extension right now, or do you just want to roll the dice and go into the wait and see? Whereas with Duran, like I said, I believe that Duran is going to develop into a really good NBA center. I believe that he's going to clean up those aspects of his game as a low post defender and as a rim protector. He just needs more time. And I believe that, and I also believe that JB Bickerstaff can pull that out of him. So that's a guy that I will be willing to give his extension and work with him. But with Ivy, it's not that I wouldn't want to pay Ivy. It's just that, okay, do you want to lock into him long term right now? And he starts the season, or he's going through the season, finishes the year, and he doesn't really look like he's the same player. Or I'm not gonna say he he breaks his leg again, but like there's some lingering effects from the injury. So I would be more waiting to see with Ivy, but with Duran, depending on what they do in the trade market, I mean, I would definitely consider giving him the bag right now. I mean, he's proven to be a solid center for them, and a player that still has, to me, that has raw upside, and I wouldn't have any reservations. I think that would be the smart way to go about it. But I mean, I don't think you can go into next season not giving with both of them not having an extension. Maybe one.
Yeah, I mean, the core guys that you drafted that are really important pieces of the team. I mean, you could argue that Jalen Duran is maybe a little bit more a priority just in terms of that's Cade's favorite target, like the chemistry that those two have. That's his favorite lob threat. He did develop quite a bit after. I know he said he was playing soft, and I don't know whether it was mental or something off the court he was going through. We may never know, but He did develop quite a bit. I thought he had a pretty decent NBA playoffs. He developed a lot during the playoffs. I thought of just kind of, falling into that second option because he didn't have a Jaden Ivey out there.
Yeah.
He didn't have Isaiah Stewart to lean on. I mean, he really had to play long, heavy minutes, and I thought I saw a lot from him. I had a lot of questions going into the playoffs with him, but I think he answered a lot of those.
And
Maybe you
also
throw
too,
him like 25 million a year, Kory. I don't know, just to see if you can get something going.
yeah. And also too, if Duran just gets like 2 post moves that he can go to offensively, he will be an entire problem. That is one thing that I would just like to see him just get a couple of back to the basket moves. Those are 2 things that, 2 back to the basket moves I think that he's missing, that he can just go to off memory. Once he gets that, that's going to also make him even valuable. And the thing is, I really do think that he can get that. And again, this is nothing to say against Ivy ceiling. If Ivy had not, broken his leg, I would have Ivy as the priority,
Yeah.
just to be quite honest. But the injury is the thing that gives me, I have to wait and see.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, me personally, I would probably give both of these guys extensions this summer, but probably be on the low side, like just to like test the waters, just to see. And it might piss him off too. Like
Yeah.
I would like the most I'd probably pay Ivy right now is like maybe 26 million a year just to kind of see, because like if he doesn't produce the way I think he is, I think 26 million a year is a very movable contract.
Mhm.
If he plays really well, that contract looks like a bargain going
Exactly.
into for years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a sucky situation for for them, because it's like Ivy was I felt like he was really starting to come into his own as a player when they were at that in that on that at that mark, and then just that January 1st, he just, no fault of his own, guy barrels into his legs and cuts off the cuts off the production we expected to see out of him as a player. So um yeah, that's my only reservation. Just the injury. Just wait and see. I'm not no reservation about him as a player or how he's going to work back into getting into shape, because I mean, say what you want. The times I've talked to him in the locker room and just on the side, he's an intense basketball player. He's soft spoken, but Ivy is intense, and he cares about ball, and he cares about how he's perceived as a player. So I mean, I believe he's going to work himself back into being, pretty damn good. But again, just wait and see.
Yeah, I never kind of question his basketball commitment because he feels like he's one of those guys that's just in the gym like crazy. So we got one final topic, and it's probably the one topic where you guys are really going to engage with NBA draft coming up next week. I gave Kory some homework this week. I think it's the first time I've ever given you homework on this podcast.
Yeah, it is, and I got my and I have my notes pulled up here on the side from my homework.
So this is a graphic I made. Posted maybe 2 weeks ago, and 10 options for the Pistons to draft at 37. So is there a particular player that you want to maybe focus on or talk about first?
So I had like these guys. I had like 3 guys that, okay, in order, who I think will be the best fits, and then 3 to kind of stay away from, and then I kind of like had an honorable mention that is not even on this list, as well as somebody that could possibly consider, even though he kind of, you know, you, depending on how, a lot of this is also depending on how this player movement goes as well, goes this season, because a lot of these guys are not going to be back. But just looking at this list, and I know I'm going to screw his name up, but I gotta believe Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton, he would be at the top of my list. After that would be Maxime Reynaud, and then last would be Drake Powell. Those would be my top 3 guys that I would kind of look at. My bottom 3 was Kobe Bria, Hanson Yang, and Johnny Broom.
Okay.
Those are my bottom three. My honorable mention that was not on the list to possibly look at was Arizona's Carter Bryant. Just this is an honorable mention. I think they already got enough, guys that kind of fit his makeup. But I mean, again, just considering how player movement who goes and who stays, he just might be a guy that they kind of look at. But I got it right here. Why did I have Ryan fit? I mean, look, they need a backup center behind Jalen Duren, and I mean, you cannot teach height. So
7-1.
he's a plug and he got it right here. He's a plug and play big for what they need. Instant rim protection, had 2.7 blocks per game. Solid in coverage. And he's gonna also help them out with that defensive identity off on with the second unit. 3-point shot, whatever. Maybe could be a brick-led pro players type guy later on down the road, but you got Beef Stew coming off injury. You just got a guy that's going to be a solid defensive specialist, and be able to give you rebounds. Not too much of a project player in my opinion, but I think somebody that they can really work with and develop. Same thing with Maxime. I think he gives you a little bit of spacing. I'm kind of curious though about his toughness, his demeanor. Like, is he a guy that can kind of fit this Pistons mold? But again, another big man. You can't teach height. Helps with some spacing. He's more of he's more of a spot up with his shots. Nothing to really put him on the floor and whatnot. And then Drake Powell. I just think Drake Powell is another good 3-and-D wing. 3-and-D defender. Wingspan is crazy. Athletic. One thing I liked about him too is it looks like he has great court vision as well. And so that's something good to have on the break and transition and whatnot. And again, you don't know who's going to be staying and who's going to be going. Little small as far as the height goes, but that's okay. Not end of the world. So, but when you got to the guys that I didn't like, I know I'm kind of long with it. Kobe Brea. I like him because he's a bucket, but aside from that, what else does he offer you? To me, not really that much for what this team needs. Hanson Yang, I think what he did in the CBA is phenomenal, but I think he's a project. I don't think the Pistons right now are in the need of a project. I think they need a backup big that can get on the floor right now. And then with Johnny Broome, I'll say this about Johnny Broome. I think he would be the best fit only in the event Isaiah Stewart is moved in the deal. Because I don't think you need two undersized forward centers. I mean, I think that I think that's kind of like, just you don't need two of the same guy. So that would be my only reservation about Johnny Broome. I mean, but he's physical. He's a dog. Plays tough around the rim, and I think any team that gets him, they're going to have a solid guy off the bench that can just do some things with your second unit.
Yeah, so I just want to preface this by saying some of these guys you would have to trade up. I think there are guys like Maxime Renault. I think you would have to trade up for Ryan Kalkbrenner. I think you have to trade up for and I think that's it. I mean, maybe you buy that Adu Thero could be a late first rounder, but I get a lot of. I don't want to say this guy's name because people get mad, but he kind of gives you just defensively like Stanley Johnson vibes. And not to say that Stanley Johnson wasn't a great defender. He was a good defender. But I don't really know if the Pistons really want to bank on another wing that can't really shoot. I mean, you do have Fred Vincent, but I feel like most of his attention right now is with Ron and Nassar, and I think the Pistons are pretty good in that aspect. But I do like Thero. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NBA. Chaz Lanier, I mean, he's had pre-draft workouts with the Pistons. That's the highest rated prospect that they've actually brought in, him and Johnny Broome. But Kory, my favorite prospects just through all these evaluations is Maxime Renault. The more I watch him, I think he's a perfect fit for the Pistons. Pistons don't have a player like him on the roster. They don't have a stretch. They don't have a stretch five that can pick and pop like that. He's got a nice floater game. He can finish with either hand. He can reposition himself. Just the way he moves without the ball, I think is really unique. Someone had, kind of put in the chat, like, defensively, like, but what is Maxime really as a player? I'm not going to say he's like a Ryan Kalkbrenner, almost averaging 3 blocks a game, but I do think what Maxime does is he uses his height and he's really good at timing blocks. Not saying he'll ever be a lockdown defender, but I think having a guy like that kind of playing the Paul Reed role, I think, to me, I would be intrigued. And I know the Pistons would have to trade up for him. I mean, maybe you trade, I don't know, 3-4 second rounders if he's there at the Brooklyn pick, one of their last picks. Like, I would consider that for Maxime because I really, buy the 3-point shot. I like that he can finish with either hand. I think, his passing is a little bit underrated, but he's my favorite prospect out of this top 10 list I did make.
Here's what I put for him. I said, hey, I think he'd pair really well with either Duran or Stewart because of his ability to space the floor and play out of pick and pop. And long term, if you got to move one of those guys, he gives you the versatility to reshape your front court. Not a finished product, needs to get stronger, defend better. But again, we just talked about, the offensive skill set is just something Detroit doesn't have in a big man rotation. And this guy has a lot of upside. So I mean, I had him. I actually, now you're making me wonder, man, maybe I need to flip flop Maxime and Ryan. But I was just more so thinking it's more so about the the defensive side of what Ryan would bring. But those are my top 2 guys. Obviously that if they're able to trade, make some moves and whatnot, those will be my top 2, Ryan and Maxime.
I like Ryan too. I think when I look at Ryan, he's more of a throwback player because he likes to play in the post. He's not really, one of those new age, centers or power forwards for that matter that just like wants to shoot a bunch of threes and just dribble nonstop. I like his interior scoring. Him as a passer, I think just connectively, he makes really good sound passes. The rim,
he does. He has. I seen it. I was looking at his work at his tape. He has nice scored vision.
Yeah, and the rim protection, I think, is like what a lot of people will kind of gravitate towards him. And I mean, if he's like your third string center, I mean, you look at guys in the NBA that he's kind of comparable to. I mean, like Walker Kessler. Like, I see a lot of Walker Kessler with Ryan Kalkbrenner. I also see some Brook Lopez because I think there are some people in the draft community that really buy into that 3-point shot. He doesn't really stretch the floor, or I shouldn't say it doesn't.
No.
Stretch the floor. He doesn't shoot as many threes as Maxime Renault is, but I should say. But he does have the ability to stretch the floor in that way. I mean, like, if you're looking at centers that the Pistons don't really have, it's Maxime and Ryan. They don't have true 7-footers. Like, you probably see it all the time. Pistons need a 7-footer. They need a 7-footer. Like, both of these guys to me would be really high on my board if I'm the Detroit Pistons in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. You need some height in that front court, and that's what they've been lacking. I mean, Duran is a big guy, but I mean, he's not as tall as those guys. You need some height. So just being able to get another true big to relieve him in spots and in certain rotations that JB might run. I think that you really could not go wrong with either one of them. It's just more so about the style and the fit of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree that there are some guards like Tyrese Proctor, Chaz Lanier, Kobe Brea, Drake Powell. Drake Powell, man, like I watch him. I see a lot of Mikal Bridges. Like, just the way he plays, that wingspan, being 6'6", having a 7-foot wingspan. I really like his ability just to kind of like be in that corner, and like if he becomes a knockdown shooter, he's that prototypical 3-and-D wing so many NBA teams kind of covet. I really like him. I think he's definitely a trade up option. Chaz Lanier, like the more I think about it, like the one thing he does is shoot. He shoots a hell of a lot of threes. Like, could he be your Tim Hardaway Jr. replacement at 37? Like, I think that's what the Pistons are thinking. Like, there's a chance that THJ is gone, and if you're plugging THJ with the Chaz Lanier and a Malik Beasley, both of these guys are high volume 3-point shooters, and I think the Pistons want to have 2 high volume 3-point shooters because it was a recipe that worked last season.
Yeah, and I think THJ is out the door because you're going to have again, you're not going to be able to bring back this team as constructed, and they're going to need some money to be able to pay Malik Beasley because I believe you have to bring Beasley back, and I also think that you need to figure out a way how to bring back Dennis Schroeder if possible. So
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's gonna some of those guys like a THJ, you're gonna have to draft the replacement for him.
yeah.
It just makes the most sense. But I'm just of the mindset that that would probably be. I don't want to say that would be low on their priority. I just gotta see what they're gonna. We'll see in a couple of days what's about to happen with these trades. I'm just wondering what they're going to do on the trade market either ahead of the draft or on draft night. So that's kind of like where I'm kind of like in flux. Like, do they get a guard or like do they try to go ahead and go for that big man on the bench because they're about to move some of these guys, move some clear up this log jam at the forward spot.
I mean, they did bring in not a guy I had in this list because he's projected to go in the second round. Kobe Sanders out of
Mm-hmm.
Nevada. He's a 6'9" point guard, which I mean, you watch him play, Kory, kind of moves like Cade. It's kind of scary. I'll send you his highlight tape, but I mean, being 6'9", being able to handle the rock like that, I mean, maybe that's an option if you get indication that Dennis just wants to leave
Yeah.
personally. But I mean, I put Kobe Bryant in there just because I honestly believe in the shooting. If you want to have a guy like if you're looking at just adding 3-point shooters, I think you look at Chaz Lanier, you look at Kobe Bryant, and you look at Tyrese Proctor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're looking for guys that could do a little bit of everything. But again, like I said, Kobe Bryant's a bucket. So it's like it's not if that's what you want, it's not like it's a bad idea. It's just more so like, okay, just seeing how the way this team has been playing. Okay, I don't see it, but
I get it. Like that's
hey,
how I feel about Johnny Broom. I don't see it. I
yeah,
just
like again, like I didn't see that he was definitely on my last like on my top three of my worst three because it's like you kind of already have a Johnny Broom type with Isaiah Stewart, and I think Isaiah Stewart does his job a little bit better. But again, he's coming into the league, so he's got to come in there and get used to everything right now. But do you, if you move an Isaiah Stewart, okay, that opens up the possibility of even entertaining a guy like Johnny Broom, even though you could still probably go in another direction that would be better.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if they do keep the pick, because you never know, like you mentioned, like the NBA draft, there's probably going to be a lot of player movement with a lot of teams that are in the aprons. The Pistons do decide to keep their pick. I think one of these guys may get selected. Maybe they do trade up and get a Ryan Kalkbrenner or a Maxine Rinno. But I mean, it'll be interesting, man. I think this is the first year where I haven't really dove into the draft that deeply, and because we've had fifth picks, it seems like for 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know what? It's even though I know this is the Pistons Talk podcast, I've kind of run into the same thing with the Lions. It's like, yo, we had to really we're digging a little bit deeper than we had to because like okay, we know we're looking at the top picks. Now it's like, okay, they're picking near the bottom this year. Oh, we got to do really like deep dive into some of these guys. So it's
So
a it's a good thing though.
I have a question for you. It'll kind of tie in between Pistons and Lions.
Mhm.
Who do you think on the Lions could suit up right now and play on the Pistons?
On the Lions. Okay, I'm just gonna say the first name that came to my mind. I'm gonna go Jameson Williams.
I could see it.
Just off of like he I don't think people really understand how much of an athlete Jameson Williams is. That guy is a heck. That guy is a heck of an athlete. And the one thing you cannot teach is speed. Speed, jumping ability. I think that's a guy that could if I had to just that was the first player that came to mind, Jameson Williams. If I had to go second,
Say Brown.
maybe. I thought St. Brown too, but I'm like, I mean, St. Brown is like 5'11". So it's like he I don't know. Now if we're talking about like on some old school stuff, like big man, I think that, and this is gonna be crazy for me to say, Panay Sewell,
I could see
because I
it.
think he's just an all around athlete in general. So like if you just wanted somebody like just like quick on his feet and just a bruiser in the low post, I mean, who's really messing with Panay Sewell?
Honestly, I thought of someone. Maybe you can tell me. I see Terry Arnold hooping all the time.
I was gonna say Terry Arnold. But I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have a real reason why. So I couldn't defend it, but he was on my he was on my brain, but I couldn't defend it the way I defended. I think Terry Arnold has a basketball player's personality though.
Yeah, he's got a big personality. I remember during the playoffs, he's like Pistons in 5, like in the brand new Lions locker room. Like he just seems like a character, honestly.
Yeah, he's definitely a character. But also one thing about Terry Arnold is that I really like is that as much of a jokester as he seems, he's really pointed with his comments, and he's really pointed with his comments, and he gives really thoughtful answers.
Yeah. Oh man. Looks like Halliburton got hurt. People are thinking he tore his Achilles. Damn. That sucks.
Oh no! I just seen it.
You see the injury?
No, I just seen him on the front. Oh my god! Not like that.
Man, I hope he didn't tear his Achilles because he had such a good season in the playoffs. But man, that's wild, man. That's wild. Someone in the chat like just said, "Yeah, poor Hallie," and I had to look at it on my phone and I saw the highlight. Like, ooh, that looked tough. Hopefully, it's just sprain.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you coming on. I thought the Game 7 was actually yesterday. I had no idea it was Sunday. I know it just started.
I was giving them crap, you guys. I'm like, you would pick Game 7.
Oh, my bad, man. I appreciate you coming on as always. But
no problem.
If you want to plug and promote,
why does something always happen when I come on? We're keeping up a streak. Something always happens when I come on the podcast, whether it's a injury, a trade, somebody getting fired. It's always something.
Dude, it's you. I swear. Every time I talk to you, there was a trade last time. Before that, it was Kamala Harris was running for president. I think it's just like, man, like every time we talk, something bad happens.
Every time.
I shouldn't say bad. Every time you call breaking news happens, just have to have you on like during free agency because you know something's gonna happen.
Hey, I guess so.
But do you want to plug and promote where people can keep up with your work over at MLive?
Just follow me on mlive.com. Look, mlive.com, just check out the sports section. I'm basically pretty much on all things Lions right now. I am still one of the Pistons writer as of right now. I am. But I will say also follow Jacob Richmond. He's going to be doing a lot of stuff from MLive coming up for the draft. I'm probably going to slide back in when it comes to some of the free agency stuff and some of these trades. We'll see, but definitely check out some of Jacob Richmond's work for mlive.com for our Pistons coverage. He's been doing a great job for us. For me, catch me on all my social media stuff. I'm about to be doing a deep dive on my own personal end just to be able to talk to you guys about it.
Well, appreciate you coming on as always, man. I'll let you catch the rest of this Game 7, but man. That sucks with Hallie going out like that, man. Someone just said you could see his calf pop in slow motion.
Oh my god!
How many Achilles injuries have we had in the playoffs, man? Like Jason Tatum, Hallie, and Dame.
You know what? I wonder, is it something with the strength and conditioning? Is it just that the game is just so much faster? Guys are playing too much basketball. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm just spitballing. It's because it's like we're seeing an uptick in these injuries, and these are brutal ones.
Yeah, like I bet if that's an Achilles injury, now you're looking
Like
at now the
again,
East is even more wide open.
yeah, I'm saying if that's an Achilles, Hallie's done for a season and a half. So it's
yeah. I'm praying it's nothing serious because that looked really brutal. But man, like not like if it is an Achilles, East is so open.
yeah.
It's not even like remotely funny. But we will see you guys next week. Hope you guys stay cool. Have a good rest of your weekend. Peace.